My name is Remco Coerman, and I'm in the Culture Matters podcast with Chris.
Remco, good morning. But I don't think it's a good morning where you are.
No, it's actually good evening for me.
It's a good evening. All right.
Anything
Remco,
goes.
welcome to the show. We're going to talk about I'm not really sure what we're going to talk about, but we'll get to some sort of content, right? Because I know you're in Dubai. I am in Ecuador, in Quito. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you are. I just gave that away. Who you are, how you ended up there, and what is your, and I call that your cultural frame of reference, and which is not 3 weeks in Cancun. That doesn't give you a cultural frame of reference usually,
Not
right?
really.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
well, like I said, my name is Remco. I was born in 1972 in the Netherlands.
Mhm.
I've been living in the Netherlands for all my life until 4 years ago. Then my wife and I decided to go to Dubai. And since then, we actually are part of the international society in Dubai, and it's an amazing place to be.
Mhm.
But before that, like I said, I've been living in the Netherlands for more than 50 years. I was born and raised over there.
Yeah.
And my multicultural awareness has to do with the fact that I've been working abroad. I'm spending some time in Africa. I used to work in Belgium, which is the same language, but that's about all the similarities
That's
if you
all. That's
compare
all
it.
there is, indeed. It's a
Yeah,
border and
there's
a,
so
and a
much.
coin.
It's totally different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's totally
I
different.
spent some time in Portugal. I did some things in Australia, and I met my wife like 12 years ago. We've been married for 10 years now, and she's from Africa. So I have a multicultural experience on a
Right.
daily basis.
Like that. Okay.
We lived, like I said, we live in Dubai now. I started up a company, and we do wealth management for high net worth individuals. We start up companies abroad, structures, trust, foundations. That's basically what we do now.
Okay. Why Dubai?
Why Dubai is a good
Why not
question.
South Africa? Why not Kuwait or Jakarta? Or I mean, there are many places where you could settle down.
Definitely, definitely. But from a business perspective, Dubai is a great place to be. And we do business with a lot of countries in Asia and a lot of countries in Africa.
Mhm.
And it's like a hub. So strategically, and if you look at the location, it's a great place to be. You can fly here to Addis Ababa, and it's a 4-hour flight. We do business in Mauritius, it's a 5-hour flight. Asia is just on the other side of the sea. So it's an amazing place
Yeah.
to be. And from a business perspective, one of the reasons why we left the Netherlands was regulations and taxes. Yeah, and in that perspective, it's paradise in Dubai. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I've been to Dubai. I don't know how many times. I could drive around without a map, and I've taken some other people because they wanted to see Dubai as well. You either love it or you hate it. Do you agree with me?
Sorry, I missed that last part because I was
So
interrupted
people
before.
either love it or they hate it.
Oh, definitely, definitely, and it's definitely not for everybody.
No.
And I can totally understand that you really hate it here because it's hot, especially in the summer. It's 50 plus degrees. The humidity is extreme. It's extremely busy, and it's 24 hours a day business. It's always on. It never sleeps. It really is. So you have to get used to that. And I can imagine that for some people, it's absolutely too much.
Yeah.
So you either hate it or you like it, definitely.
So Remco, where do we start? In your LinkedIn profile, it says advisor in wealth protection. What are
Yes.
the dangers and how do these dangers potentially differ per culture?
There's a big difference in how European thinks, how American thinks, and how everyone in between thinks. If you look at one side of the world and the other side of the world, Africa, Asia, South America, they all have a totally different way of looking at dangers and how to invest. And what we advise now is diversify your portfolio. And for example, we do a lot of business in Africa, but doing business in Africa is a totally different way of doing business than what Europeans are used to.
Okay, get some details, please.
The special thing is, for example, if you have an agreement with someone, are you going to do this for me? And you agree that to a European, then you can make sure that he will actually do it. If you do it in Africa, then people tell you, yeah, we will do it. But as soon as you leave, then they stop working. And when you come back after a few weeks, nothing has been going on. Nothing changed in the situation. And they tell me, yeah, but you were not here. So it's obvious that we don't do it. You need to give them instructions and you need to be there in person to make sure that something is actually going on. Otherwise, nothing will happen. And they think it's perfectly normal. That's one of the things that you have to get used to if you start doing business in Africa. And also the fact that if you agree, let's meet each other tomorrow at 8, and they think it's perfectly normal if they come 2 or 3 hours later. But I'm here, so what's the issue? And for a European, that's extremely frustrating because we had an agreement at 8 and they call you 5 minutes before 8. Hey, I'm here, you're not here yet. Even before. And that's not something that in Africa, that's a totally different ballgame. Just to give you an example.
South Americans are the same or not? To that extent comparable.
Yeah, they are. And for a European, it's frustrating. If you leave, you have to, if you want to be successful in doing business in Africa, you have to leave that attitude at home in Europe. Otherwise, you will never be a success.
Or maybe that's what I'm failing. My partner is Ecuadorian, and I bump into the same thing. I'll be home at 3, never home at 3. 6 is also good. No,
it's also good. And then actually, if you tell them, if you point that out, say, you had an agreement at 3, yeah, but I'm here now. So what's the issue?
Yeah.
They even get annoyed if you tell them that.
Is it because I'm stuttering here. What was your most difficult adaptation? Either, if I may ask personally, with your wife or moving country, which is a total different thing.
Yeah, moving country is a different thing, but the thing with Dubai is that it's very multicultural. But you have to do everything by yourself. Europeans are used to having a government that takes care of them. At least the government tells you that they take care of you.
Yeah.
There is, if you don't have work, they pay for you. If you're sick, they pay. That's fine. Everything is arranged. Nothing has been taken care of if you move to Dubai. You have to do everything by yourself. Nobody's there to help you. You have to do it yourself. You have to reach out to people. Networking is a very important thing in the cultural awareness over here in Dubai. Yeah. That's another thing in the Netherlands. You can't just do your business running from home if you're in Europe. That's not going to work in Dubai. Absolutely not. You have to go out there and meet people. That's a totally different way of doing business.
And also, this is a question that actually I did write down. Why Dubai? Why not Abu Dhabi? What's the choice?
To be honest, that's a good choice. That's a good question. If I could do it again, I would actually have a different choice. I would go for Abu Dhabi for sure. But we just wanted to go to a different place. We said let's go to the UAE, see how it looks like. And by then, it's like 4 years ago. In that phase, it was different. Because Abu Dhabi, it's much more quieter. It's much more conventional than it is than in Dubai. So if I could make a choice again, I would go for Abu Dhabi now. But 4 years ago, Dubai was different. But it has been, tripled in size, actually.
Abu Dhabi.
That's a different story. Dubai.
Dubai, yeah.
Yeah, it's extreme. The growth is extreme. Absolutely.
Yeah, I can remember I was there the very first time in 1996. And the so-called World Trade Center was outside of the city, and I was wondering, why do they put me up in the Holiday Inn there, which was relatively close, outside of the city? What is wrong with these people? And now, indeed, it's gobbled up by growth. Indeed. Another line from your LinkedIn profile: what are international investment structures? I mean, I can imagine something, but could you elaborate a little bit on that? And how is that different in different countries?
Well, it's very different because it depends on the fiscal jurisdiction that you're based in. We normally advise clients from Europe, and more Americans are coming. And what you do, you set up an entity. So you basically set up a company in Dubai. And with that company, you invest in, for example, we have a cocoa plantation or a transportation company in Africa. You invest via your entity in Dubai, and you do that via a structure. It's so-called cell structure in Mauritius. So the structure is basically the company, and the company invests via another company in, for example, a investment project in Africa. And that's for tax reasons, because then the money flow is harder to track, basically. And you make the profit in the money with the lowest tax rate. Yeah. That's why you set up a structure. That's one thing. And the other advantage is that you make your children, even if they are minor, you get them shares in your company. So you make it a family office. So there's no inherent tax in the future. So everything you build up for your kids is for them in the future. Okay. So that's why you set up a structure.
But is that the complete structure, the triangle? so to speak, or is that typically UAE?
No, the UAE is only part of it. We do it in the Cayman Islands. We do it in Mauritius. We do it in Singapore, Hong Kong. So it depends on what kind of business you're in.
Yeah.
Then we define what the best structure for your specific situation is. But most of the companies are based in either Dubai or in Mauritius.
Okay. You say that the most of your clients come from Europe, correct?
Yeah, so far, yes.
So far, but that's a very diverse continent as well. I mean, I guess
Oh,
dealing with a
absolutely.
Dutchman or a German or a Brit, it's going to be different.
Yeah, but it makes it very interesting. That's the interesting part of Europe because there are so many countries and so many different cultures. But it's totally different story of, like I said, I've been working in Belgium, and even it's a neighboring country, and the language is basically the same. But that's about everything. Then it ends with the similarities because it's so different.
Yeah.
Doing business with German takes a long time before you have a relationship with the German. But once you have the relationship, you have it for life.
Yeah.
For example,
It's hard to
and
get
if you
in, but it's also hard to get out.
definitely, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you cannot get out. No, as
No,
soon
no,
as you're
no,
in.
no.
So
When you're good,
it's
you're
beautiful.
good. Indeed. Yeah,
Yeah,
I lived for
yeah,
15 years in Belgium, so
you
I've
did. No,
yeah, and so
yeah,
it's it's
yeah.
we share one border and one coin, and that's where it stops.
That's about it. That's about
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
because
yeah.
on patatje saté is something you cannot get in Leuven, for instance. Okay,
No, they don't know.
that's
No.
maybe too.
But the even interesting part of Belgium that in certain parts they only speak Flemish or Dutch, and they only in certain parts they only speak French. And if you live in the area of Luik, so in Liège, they speak. It's a French-speaking part,
Yeah,
and for them, moving to Antwerp feels like moving to a different country
yeah,
because the culture is so different, and it's still in the same country.
yeah, yeah,
But
I
there's
know.
such an immense variety. It's amazing.
And then you go to Eupen, which is in the east of Belgium. There, they only
Yeah.
speak German.
They speak German. Yeah, that's the part that speaks German. It's interesting,
Yeah,
huh?
that's good
And it's
fun.
only in such a small country, and that's so
Yeah,
difference.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
what you.
even if you look at the parliament, the politics, you have to be duolingual in order to be able to communicate. So you have to speak fluent French and fluent Dutch
Yeah,
to be part of the parliament.
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
an
and
interesting
still be.
concept.
Yeah, it is.
It's a very confusing country, and I think they're
It
confused
is.
by the Economist
Yeah.
actually called it the most successful failed state. If you look at four
Yeah.
governments, et cetera, et cetera. But no,
Yeah.
we're not talking about Belgium, but in general, you get 4 years.
Yeah.
You're in Dubai. What's
Yeah.
next?
We're building a house in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia because my wife is from Ethiopia.
Yeah, okay, that makes
And
sense.
one of the things that many people don't know is that Africa is really booming. The economies in many countries in Africa, they are booming. They're crazy. The developments that over there. I mean, if you go there now and you go there in 3 weeks, there's another company starting up. It's amazing what's going on there. I want
But
to be part
that's
of it.
not in every country, Remco. I
Not in
mean,
every country, but the countries that we go to, it is.
yeah, okay. Ethiopia in this
Yeah,
case.
Ethiopia. No, but Ethiopia, Ghana is also Kenya.
Mhm.
These countries are the developments there are extreme. They're overtaking Europe on every side. Actually,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah, The Economist last week had a good article about the development of South Africa and Nigeria.
Yeah, yeah,
Those two giants that they're growing
yeah,
and getting better and getting
yeah,
better.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. If there were to be another country where, other than going back to the roots of your wife, where you would do this kind of business, where would that be?
Mauritius, absolutely. We're opening an office in Mauritius as well. We do business now. Mostly our offices are actually based in Dubai,
Uh-huh.
so in the UAE. But Mauritius is an excellent alternative.
Yeah.
And the interesting part of Mauritius is that it is Africa, but it doesn't feel like Africa. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been to Mauritius, but you feel like you're in Asia.
Yeah.
But it is French-speaking part of Africa, so
Yeah.
it's fascinating. But from a fiscal perspective, to set up businesses, it's a great alternative from the UAE. Absolutely. And if you look from in South America, then many people, many clients of mine, actually moving to Paraguay, Uruguay as well. There's a very interesting things going on in South America as well.
Hmm. Okay.
So
Well,
that would be something
for
to
now, I'm
consider.
stuck in Quito, which is Ecuador.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. Yep. Okay. So is this something that you have learned along the way? This the knowledge of how do you structure these things, or is this something you? I mean, as you're an economist potentially, or
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is, you can learn everything on school and in a book, but you really learn how to do it once you start doing it.
yeah, yeah, of course.
And if you look at specific, yeah, it also depends on where the people are coming from. I mean, for Dutch people, It's, for example, not an option to set up a trust because of taxation, but it is for people from Spain or Portugal. So it all depends on where the people come from. So as soon as we have an intake, then they tell me the situation, and then we discuss in the team what the best suggestion, what the best structure for this specific client is, and that makes it that every structure is actually different from the other one because it all depends on what the client is looking for.
Yeah, makes sense.
So you learn along the way.
Is there, excuse me, is there a lot of competition in your field?
I would say no, because the problem is that many people, they try to convince you that they know everything about specific law in a country, but in most cases they don't.
Yeah.
That's really, if you talk to a foreign American, I had a conversation with an American lawyer last week who was specialized in taxation, and he tells me the whole story in like 30 minutes. I say, what have you been talking about? It doesn't make any sense. He makes it so complex, and it's not exactly rocket science, all these tax laws. It's not exactly rocket science. You just have to know what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And once you know, then you know, I know what I'm talking about. And I tell people, okay, you have to pay me a certain amount. If you're not willing to pay, then go somewhere else. But eventually you will come back, and they will. Yeah. Because there's no one in the world who can tell them the whole story for all the specific countries in the world. And I have like 26 lawyers working for my team, and they all have their specific knowledge for the country that they come from. So at competition, of course, there are other people who tell they have the same story. We can do it for you. Fine, go over there. Eventually, you will come back to us.
What is then the biggest mistake that people tend to make from different countries, different cultures again, that they decide, oh, this I want to go and live in Dubai as well, or whatever their idea is.
There's one common mistake, and they think if you just move to Dubai, set up a company, you don't have to pay taxes anymore in the country that you're resident of, and that's not the way it is.
Your home country, so to speak.
Yeah, your home country. So, for example, a Dutch guy or a Belgian guy decides he comes and I'm setting up a company in Dubai, you don't have to pay taxes anymore. But there's way more to the story than that. Before, you have to give up everything. You cannot keep your house. You have to give up your bank accounts, telephone numbers, everything. You have to close down in your home country. Then you move to a different country, and you have to stay there at least 183 days in order to be fiscal resident of that country. And only then you will move your fiscal residency to the new country, not before that. But many people forget that step, and they think I just set up a company abroad and I don't have to pay taxes anymore. That's the biggest mistake that they make.
Yeah.
And then they come to me and say, hey, I'm having huge fines. Yeah, but you didn't follow the steps.
Yeah.
It happens.
So get informed. Get informed
Absolutely.
Before you do anything.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. It's interesting stuff. At the beginning of this talk, I told you I don't have that much background information on what you do. And so I don't know where this conversation is going to go, but it went. I mean, we're here, right?
Yeah, we're still here. We're still talking. So
we're still talking.
Talk about it. Yeah.
I'm looking at the clock as well, and I prep you for this. What for in your experience, what could be 3 tips to become more culturally competent?
The first thing you have to do is listen to the other person. Listen to the other person, because we are both Dutch, so we are very aware of our presence, and we have the feeling that we need to tell someone else what our opinion is. And in many parts of the world, that's not a common thing. You not go out there and just I don't like this. That's in some cultures that's really rude. So first listen to how people communicate and what they say, and keep your mouth shut until you're asked to say something. And that's very hard especially for Northern Europeans.
Yeah.
That's very hard. And another thing is you can have your own opinion, but keep it for yourself. And I found that really hard in the beginning, and my wife has to point that out to me. It's okay not to have an opinion about something. And for us, the Northern Europeans, Western Europeans, it's difficult because at school we were taught actually, if you say it's fine, I don't care. How can you not care? You need to have an opinion. They actually force me to have an opinion, and in many parts of the world that's so extremely rude.
Yeah. No, I'm listening because there's a saying with your first point. It's the Dutch think that they're the only sane people in an insane world. That's a saying. And the second point you mentioned is that the Dutch always have an opinion, even if they don't have an opinion. So if somebody gets interviewed, what do you think about housing crisis? Nothing, and there comes the opinion.
Yeah, but
That's
yeah, absolutely.
that's a very
Yeah,
Dutch
yeah. There's
approach.
a very typical say. If you ask me, well, I'm not asking you, but it's very Dutch. Say, if you ask me, I can tell you about it. Nobody's asking you,
Yeah.
but they are entitled. Actually, they don't feel satisfied if they did not come up with their own opinion. Apparently, I know it's a
Yeah.
weird thing. It's a weird thing, but it
Okay.
happens.
You have another one?
I have the last one is actually I can advise everyone to look for a partner outside of your own culture. You should definitely do that. It's an enrichment of your life. It definitely is. And it's hard. You have to work for it. I mean, it's easier to marry the boy or the girl from your street on the other side of the street.
Yeah.
That grew up in the same country, that grew up in the same school, went to the same school, had the same friends. That's a lot easier.
Yeah.
But it broadens your horizon if you do it with someone from a totally different culture. I would advise my children that as well, actually.
What's the one tip that you can give to all these people that are considering this? I mean, what is the one thing that you should do? It's actually a fourth tip. If you are marrying outside of your own country or culture, what's the one tip?
Be prepared because it's not easy. And the thing is, there are many people without a successful relationship in the world now because they don't know how to fight for the relationship. Because as soon as things get hard, they give up and they said, this is not going to work. But you can make everything work if you really want to. But you have to set your mind to it and realize that it's not easy. And there might be days that you think this is not going to work, but still keep going because it's worth it. So definitely, if you're up for that, be prepared for what's coming, but you have to make it work. It's a choice.
It's a choice. Yes, I agree with that. Last question, Remco. If people would like to get in touch with you, how could they do that?
They can have a look at my website, epicedges.net, epicedges.group, and epicedges.nl in Dutch. We're doing that in several other languages as well. They can also look me up at social media, because I do a lot of social media on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. They can always send me a DM, and my team will actually follow up.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
That'll all be in the show notes, and that's going to be in a couple of weeks' time. That'll be online. And I enjoyed the talk. Thank you for staying up that late. What time is it now? It's about 9 or 10 o'clock.
Oh, it's 8:30. It's still okay.
Oh, okay, so not so bad.
8:30.
Okay, time for a glass of wine, possibly.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thanks so much. I enjoyed the talk, and I'm pretty sure we'll bump into each other in the future.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.